हरिः ओम् नमः सर्वेभ्यः। अद्य कृदन्तप्रकरणस्य 81तमः पाठः। अस्मिन् वर्गे निष्ठा प्रत्ययोः प्रक्रियायाम् इडागमात् अनन्तरं यानि कार्याणि भवन्ति तत्र तुगागमः, अतिदेशः तथा च सम्प्रसारणम् इत्येतानि कार्याणि कथं भवन्ति अस्मिन् विषये सूत्राणाम् आधारेण अध्ययनं कुर्मः। प्रारम्भे वन्दनम्। येनाक्षरसमाम्नायम् अधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। मुनित्रयं नमस्कृत्य तदुक्तिः परिभाव्य च वैयाकरणसिद्धान्तकौमुदीयं विरच्यते। So in the last class I gave the URL Idagama Sutra list. I have changed that URL to Nishtha Sutra list. Both the URLs will continue to work. The reason I renamed it is because now that sheet is not just restricted to the Idagamas, it is also showing all other steps. I have already discussed this in the last week, so I just wanted to announce this. Both the URLs will work, so you can go to Idagama Sutra list or you can go to Nishtha Sutra list. तत्र पूर्वस्मिन् वर्गे षष्ठं पत्रं षष्ठः सोपानः इडागमः इत्यस्मिन् विषये अध्ययनं समाप्तं। तत्र षट् वर्गाः अस्माभिः अधीताः। एतेषां सर्वेषां सूत्राणाम् आधारेण निष्ठा प्रक्रियायां कुत्र इडागमः नित्यं भवति, कुत्र विकल्पेन भवति, कुत्र विकल्पेन निषिध्यते, कुत्र नित्यं निषिध्यते, कुत्र च निपात्यते इति सर्वम् अस्माभिः विस्तारेण अधीतम्। अद्य अग्रे गच्छामः। तदनन्तरं सप्तमः सोपानः अस्ति अङ्गकार्यम् इति. So when it comes to angakarya, we have seen this angakarya again and again across multiple different pratyayas. So tatra angakaryasya विषये अत्र केचन सोपानाः उपसोपानाः अत्र भवितुम् अर्हन्ति. So we can divide this process of angakaryam in 5 smaller steps, specifically from the nishtha pratyaya point of view. So as to simplify is the study of that whole process. So tatra करपत्रे अपि दर्शितमस्ति. तत्र प्रथमः गणः अस्ति अङ्गकार्यबाधकः अन्तरङ्गः तुगागमः. So we have seen this or we have seen it multiple times that this tugagama given by che, cha and dirghat, it always appears before the angakarya because it is antaranga tugagama. Once the tugagama comes over there, it can block the guna vruddhi or any other stuff. So we have antarangakarya badhakaha antarangakaryam angakarya badhakam तुगागम विधानम इति प्रथमः तत्र गणः. तदनन्तरं द्वितीयः गणः अस्ति अतिदेशः. So long ago in the first part of the course I have taken a full class on atidesha. तत्र अस्माभिः एतद् दृष्टं यत् क्त्वा प्रत्ययः तथा च निष्ठा प्रत्ययौ एतयोः विषये प्रथमाध्यायस्य द्वितीयपादे अतिदेशः उक्तः अस्ति. So क्त्वा प्रत्यय, which is a kit pratyaya, can become akit. Similarly, nishtha, kta and ktavatu, these pratyayas are akit, these pratyayas are kit pratyayas, but under some cases they become akit pratyayas. So there is an atidesha, anyatulyatva vidhanam atideshaha. So something that is not the property of that particular pratyaya is being superimposed. So that's the second section of atidesha. तत्र प्रथमाध्यायस्य द्वितीयपादस्य प्रथमं सूत्रं गां कुटादिभ्यो नणिङ्गित इत्यस्मात् आरभ्य प्रथमाध्यायस्य द्वितीयपादस्य षड्विंशतितमं सूत्रं रलो विपदात् धलादेशंश्च इति यावत्सु सूत्रेषु अयम् अतिदेशः उक्तः अस्ति. So this entire prakaranam is atidesha prakaranam. Not all sutras will be used for the nishtha prakriya. So tatra yesham sutranam nishtha prakriyayam prayogaha na bhavati तेषां किंचित भिन्न रूपेण निर्देशः कृतः अस्ति. Gray color is used to show their background, and you can see only 4 sutras are the ones that we need to study. निष्ठाशीं स्विदिमिदिक्षुदिधृषः मृषस्तितिक्षायां उदुपदात् भावादिकर्मणोरन्यतरस्यां पूमक्त्वाच. All the 4 sutras I have already taught in class number 22 when I discussed atidesha. I have also explicitly requested you to watch that particular class. I'll quickly go through these sutras without spending any time and move on. The third important section is samprasaranam. In this particular section, again the sutras vachisvapi ajadinam kiti and grahijya vai vyadhi, these 2 sutras, they are well known sutras, very common sutras. Nishtha pratyayo parayo kit pratyayo parayo atra samprasaranam bhavati. परन्तु तत्र निष्ठा प्रत्ययस्य विषये इतोपि अनेकानि अधिकानि सूत्राणि उक्तानि सन्ति. So again, samprasaranam is a specific section in 6.1, just like atidesha is a specific section in 1.2. There is a samprasaranam which is a specific section in 6.1. It starts from 6.1.13. Shangha samprasaranam putrapatyos tatpurushe. So there is this samprasaranam which starts as an anuvritti from 6.1.13 and goes all the way till 6.1.43 vyascha. So you have the whole bunch of sutras for the samprasaranam. Out of these sutras, the ones that are not required for the nishtha prakriya are grayed out. I still prefer keeping them to understand the scope, to understand the anuvritti and so on. But these sutras have been grayed out. The ones that are not grayed out, vacheswapyaja, dinam, kiti and grahijja vai, very well known sutras. We have come across these sutras multiple times. I'll discuss this again quickly in today's class in respect or in reference to the kta and the ktavatu pratyas. The more interesting are these sutras which are completely new towards the end. Sphayaha sphi nishtayam. So you can see there is certain samprasaranam given specifically for nishtha. That's the reason we never came across these sutras earlier. So sphayaha sphi nishtayam. Ityasmat arabhya, all sequential sutras 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27 and 28 sutra pyayaha pi iti yavatsu sarveshu sutreshu nishtha pratyeye pare dhatoho samprasaranam uchyate. You can see nishtha pratyeye pare dhatoho samprasaranam sarvatra uktam asti. So these are the sutras that we will focus the majority of today's class understanding and studying these sutras. So these first three sections, the tugagama, the atidesh and the samprasaranam is what we are going to cover in today's class. Tomorrow's class, we will look at the next section, section 4, which is the samanyam angakaryam. So angakarya, which does not depend on the kit property of the nishtha pratyaya. There is a bunch of angakarya. You can see a lot of sutras, some 18, 20 sutras or 15 sutras we have to study in tomorrow's class, which do not depend on nishtha pratyaya at all. All these sutras we will study in tomorrow's class. So the plan for today is section 1 to 3. The plan for tomorrow is section 4. The last section, section 5, you can see it's not yet populated yet. It is Kid Vishishtam Angakaryam that we will take next week. So we'll populate this over the weekend. So this Kid Vishishtam Angakaryam itself will take, you see only 10, 12 sutras are there, or maybe some 15 sutras are there, but this will take 2 full classes. There is some significant Shastra discussion in this particular section. So for example, you see this 7.4.46, there is a sutram called do dad gho ho. This single sutram itself will take 1 full class for us to understand it thoroughly. Lot of interesting Shastra aspects are there in this do dad gho ho, and then remaining part of that class or the next day's class we will take all other sutras. So this way the plan is asmin saptahe vargadvayam tatha cha agrima saptahe vargadvayam. 4 classes we will use for angakaryam and cover up or complete up step number 7. So with this background, here are those 5 classes presented on the slide deck also. So with this background, prarabhamahe tatra prathamaha ganaha, first section, antarangakarya badhaka antarangaha tugagamaha kimapi nasti sarvaihi etat sutvam bahuvaram purvam adhitam checha titi tatha dirghat iti sutradvayam. छेच इत्यनेन ह्रस्वस्वरस्य तुगागमः भवति, दीर्घात् इत्यनेन दीर्घस्वरस्य तुगागमः भवति. So the tugagama is for the swara. It is a kit agama. आद्यन्तौ टकितौ इत्यनेन अन्त्यावयव रूपेण आगच्छति. So yucha plus kta, the swara gets a tugagama. It looks like an agama for chakara, but it is not an agama for chakara. It is an agama for the swara. Yut plus cha. Similarly, pratta plus cha, mleta, atra dirghat iti asti kila, mleta plus cha, rita plus cha, ityatsa sarvatra tugagamah bhavati, agreshchutve krute, chakaraha tatra prakriyayam drishyate, yuchchita, mlechchita, richchita, ityata agre rupam bhavati. So that was the first set. There's nothing, just 1 sutra was there or 2 sutras were there. The tugagama vidhayakam, checha and dirghat. The second set is atidesha. Asya atideshasya विषये किंचित् पीठिकां दृष्ट्वा अग्रे गच्छामः. एतत् सर्वं पूर्वं पाठितमस्ति class number 22. So if something of this is not clear or you think I'm going fast, you should be going back to class number 22 and watching it. So atidishyante tulyataya karyani vidhiyante saha atideshaha. It is one of the 6 type of sutras. Anyatulyatva vidhanam atideshaha iti uchyate. I have explained the concept of atidesha in a completely different format a few classes ago, where I was talking about apavada sutram or niyama sutram or atidesha sutram. So niyama and atidesha are two opposite sides of the same coin. I explained that earlier a few classes ago. Niyama is basically trimming down, restricting the scope of the sutram. Atidesha is exactly opposite of niyama, expanding the scope of the sutram. So anyatulyatva vidhanam atideshaha. The nishtha pratyaya is actually kit pratyaya. So it is not a kit, but you impose additional properties on the nishtha pratyaya and call it a kit. That's atidesha. So तत्र निष्ठा प्रत्ययोः अकिद् भावस्य विषये तत्र अतिदेश प्रकरणस्य केवलं 4 एव सूत्राणि सन्ति. एतेषां सर्वेषां सूत्राणां पाठनं पूर्वस्मिन् वर्गे कृतं. पुनरेकवारं वदामि. निष्ठा प्रत्ययौ सामान्यरूपेण कित् प्रत्ययौ, तथापि कुत्रचित् एतौ निष्ठा प्रत्ययौ अकितौ भवतः. कुत्र भवतः? Given in all these sutras, if the nishtha pratyaya is a set pratyaya, then it becomes akita. So not all nishtha pratyayas are akit, only the set nishtha pratyaya is akit. If you go to the list of sutras over here, you can see in 1 to 18, naktva set. So there is this set word which is present in naktva set, which is coming all the way in the next 4 sutras of the nishtha prakaranam. So a set nishtha pratyaya is akita. Therefore, it is important that we learn the idagamas first before we come to this atidesha. Prathamam tatra idagamaha bhavati uta na bhavati etat drashtavyam. Idagamaha bhavati chedeva tatra set kit asti uta kid nasti iti tatra agre chintanam bhavitum arhati. So step number 1 is to understand whether that nishtha pratyaya gets idagama or not. If the nishtha pratyaya does not get the idagama, we are going to see those cases. Then even if it fits into these 4 sutras, you do not get the akit bhava over there. Nishtha pratyaya set asti ched eva akit bhavati. When it becomes akit, obviously because it is no more kit, other things like gunadesha and so on can happen. So what is important thing to understand? Etaihi sutraihi uktaha akid bhavaha kevalam set nishtha pratyasya vishaye eva bhavati. Tatra dvitiyah vishayah kim jnatavyah, kah jnatavyah? Etaihi sutraihi uktaha akid bhavaha vikalpena nasti. So you have a separate vaikalpika vidhanam by anyatarasyam in udupadat bhavadi karmano or anyatarasyam, but till you get there, there is no vikalpa over there. So nishtha shing svidimidik svididhrushaha is actually compulsory akit. You don't have a choice of akit versus kit. Mrushastitikszayam is compulsory akit. You don't have a choice of whether it is kit or akit. By the way, here it's not a typing mistake. Somebody is saying is this typing mistake. So nishtha shing swidi, font issue is there. Shing plus swidi midi kshvidi dhrushaha. So somebody is asking what happens if the idagama comes optionally. So if idagama comes optionally, then only when the idagama comes, akid bhava comes. If idagama does not come, akid bhava does not come. So the prerequisite of that akit bhava is idagama. I have explained this in again earlier. So yatra nishtha pratyaho idagamaha na bhavati tatra akit atideshaha api na vidhiyate. Tatra prathamam sutram nishtha shing svidimidik svididhrushaha. So here it is typed correctly. Nishtha shing svidimidik svididhrushaha na set iti vartate. Shing swidi, examples are there on the right side actually. न सेट इति वर्तते शीं स्विदि मिदि क्ष्विदि धृष इत्येतेभ्यः परः निष्ठा प्रत्ययः सेट न किद् भवति. And then he has given further examples over there. We can quickly go over the actual examples. सो शीङ् स्वप्ने इति धातुः अस्ति। अयं धातु मूल रूपेण एव सेट् धातुः अस्ति, अस्य विषये इडागमस्य निषेधः न भवति, अतः अत्र शीङ् धातोः इडागमः भवति। तदनन्तरं कित् प्रत्ययः क्त प्रत्ययः अकित् भवति, क्तवतु also will be akit, and therefore you compulsory get gunadesh she plus it plus the shait. That's the only form that is possible. You cannot get a form without guna. Guna is compulsory because akit atidesh is compulsory, because idagama is compulsory. nishtha shing swidimidikshvididrusha ityatra shing iti nirdeshah तत्र शी धातोः विषये इडागमः यत्र यत्र भवति इत्युक्ते सर्वत्र तत्र तत्र गुणं कृत्वा एव रूपं सिद्ध्यति. The next four dhatus are all adit dhatus. So ni shvida, ni mida, ni kshvida, ni drusha आदितः धातवः सन्ति, अतः आदितश्च इत्यनेन इडागमस्य निषेधः भवति. विभाषा भावादिकर्मणोः इति भावकर्मणोः विषये वैकल्पिकः इडागमः विधीयते. अतः केवलं भावकर्मणोः विषये एव यत्र इडागमः विकल्पेन विधीयते तत्र इडागमस्य उपस्थितौ एतेषाम् अकित् भावः दृश्यते. So in all the examples that you can see over here, they are all adi karmani examples. Just to adhere with the common convention, I have added pra everywhere. So pra plus kvida plus ta, this is an adi karmani usage. Vibhasha bhavadi karmano iti vikalpena idagamah. If you get that idagama over there, pra plus swida, swida must become sweda by buganda laghupadasya cha. Swida sweda ita ta prasvedita pramedita prakshvedita, and drusha ru will become a urandraparaha ara pradharshita. So sarvatra yatra yatra idagamah bhavati tatra tatra nityam gunadeshe krite rupam siddhyati. Yatra yatra idagamah na bhavati, so bhave and adi karmani optional idagamah asti na kriyate chet स्विद प्लस त तथा च अन्यत्र अधिकरणे भवेत् कर्तरि भवेत् इडागमः न क्रियते चेत् स्विद प्लस त स्विन्न मिन्न क्ष्विन्न दृष्ट, you do not see any guna happening over here. So अनेन निष्ठा शीं स्विदिमिदिक्ष्विदिदृशा अत्र पञ्चधातवः उक्ताः सन्ति. एतेषां विषये यत्र यत्र इडागमः भवति तत्र तत्र नित्यम् अकित् भावः विधीयते. अग्रिमं सूत्रं मृषस्तितिक्षायां. सो विभाषा भावादिकर्मणोः मृषस्तितिक्षायां. मृषस्तितिक्षायां, to tolerate or to forgive. मृषस्तितिक्षायां अस्मात् धातोः विहितः निष्ठा प्रत्ययः कित् न भवति. पुनरेकवारं सेट् एव धातुः अस्ति, अतः अस्मात् धातोः सेट् निष्ठा प्रत्यय इति तत्र अध्याह्रियते. सो अस्मात् धातोः विहितः निष्ठा प्रत्ययः कित् न भवति. Therefore you get उपधा गुण मृष plus it plus ta marshita when the meaning is titikshayam, when the meaning is to forgive or to tolerate. On the other hand, if you have other meaning, tatra tu idagam, tatra tu akit bhavah na bhavati. So in the titiksha sense, you have mrusha plus ita plus ta, ru will become ar marshita. In other cases, for example, upasargasya karana dhatoh artho parivartanam bhavati. अर्थे परिवर्तनं भवति. सो धात्वर्थः तत्र परिवर्त्यते, तत्र तु निष्ठा प्रत्ययः अकिद्वत् न भवति. सो टाइपिंग मिस्टेक, तत्र तु निष्ठा प्रत्ययः अकिद्वत् न भवति. सो इफेक्टिवली निष्ठा प्रत्यय इज कित, देयरफॉर गुण विल नॉट हैपन. अप प्लस मृष प्लस क्त, इडागम विल ऑलवेज हैपन. अंडरस्टैंड दिस केस. अत्र इडागमस्य विषये चिन्तनं नास्ति, इडागमः तु नित्यमेव भवति, परन्तु अत्र कित् अस्ति उत अकित् भावः अस्ति इत्यस्य विषये चिन्तनमस्ति. When the mrusha dhatu is used in the meaning of titiksha, which is to tolerate or to forgive, we do not get the kit bhava, which means the guna will happen. On the other hand, in all the other meanings, we get a kit bhava, which means the guna will not happen. So mrusha, if apa upasarga is there, tatra artha parivartanam bhavati. Apa plus mrusha plus ta, apa mrushita iti rupam siddhyati. There is another dhatu mrusha in the bhvadigana. So mrusha stitikshayam is in the divadigana. There is another dhatu in the bhvadigana. Again, it has a different meaning. Mrusha sechane sahane. Asya vishaye api artha bhinnatvat atra asya sutrasya prasaktihi nasti. So mrusha dhatu, only when it is used in the titiksha sense, we get akit bhava. Therefore, the guna happens, mrsha becomes marsha. In all other cases, there is no akit bhava. So the default property of being a kitta is maintained, and therefore you do not get a gunadesha. In all cases, the idagama will happen. All in the sense, for the mrushastitikshayam dhatu, whether there is upasarga or there is no upasarga, idagama will definitely happen. The one in the Bhadigana is Udit. Therefore, for Udit dhatus, we know that idagama does not happen. Therefore, for this dhatu, you neither get an idagama nor there is a prasakti of akid bhava. Artha is different. So mrishehe dhatoh titikshayam arthe nishtha set nakid bhavati. Titiksha ityukte kshama, to forgive, also seen in to tolerate. Marshitaha marshitavan. Titikshayam itikim apamrshitam vakyam aha. These kind of typing mistakes in Kashik are very risky. I mean, I have a habit of copy pasting it from the website, and these are like really risky typing mistakes. It should be marshitaha marshitavan. Titikshayam itikim apamrshitam vakyam aha. कौमुदी सेठ निष्ठा कित न स्यात् मर्षितः मर्षितवान् क्षमायां किम अपमृषितं वाक्यम अविस्पष्टं वाक्यम इति अर्थः. अत्र अपमृषितं वाक्यम तत्र क्षमा नो चेत् टॉलरेट इति अर्थः नास्ति, केवलम् अस्पष्टम् उक्तं वाक्यम इनडिस्टिंग्विशेबल सेंटेंस इति अर्थः. अतः अत्र अपमृषितं वाक्यम अत्र गुणः न भवति, अत्र तितिक्षा इति अर्थः नास्ति, अतः अकिद्वद् भावः अपि अत्र न प्रवर्तते. So that's the second. Let's go to the third one. Udupadhat bhavadi karmanoranyatarasya. Itadapi sutram purvam asmabhi adhitam. Yasmin dhatau hrasva ukaraha upadhayam vidyate. Dyutta, mudda, kukka, kucha, buddha. Sarvatra upadhayam. You get rid of it letter first and then count the upadha. So sarvatra upadhayam atra ukaraha hrasva ukaraha vidyate. तथा च एते सर्वे भादिगणस्य धातवः एतेषां सर्वेषां विषये शप् विकरण प्रत्ययः भवति. सो टू कंडीशंस. उपधायां ह्रस्व उकारः विद्यते तथा च शप् इति विकरण प्रत्ययः भवति. तस्मात् भावादिकर्मणोः अन्यतरस्यां भावे आदिकर्मणि विहितः सेट् निष्ठा प्रत्ययः विकल्पेन अकित् भवति. सो फॉर प्रीवियस टू केसेस इट वाज कंपल्सरी अकित्. राइट नाउ इट इज विकल्पेन अकित्. उदुपदात् भावादिकर्मणोः अन्यतरस्याम. So दीपेण द्युतितम or द्योतितम. The first column over here is all bhave. All these are karta kartu padas. Deepen dyutitam, the bulb or the light glows. Sadhuna muditam, the sadhu smiles or becomes happy. Bhikshuna kukitam, netra kuchitam, chhatrena buditam. Sarvatra karta asti. Bhave prayogaha tah karta tritiyayam kriyapadasya tu sorry krudantasya tu नपुंसकलिंगे प्रथमा एकवचने प्रयोगः भवति. तत्र तृतीयः स्तम्भः अस्ति. आदिकर्मणि प्रयोगः निर्दिश्यते. प्रकोष्ठः द्युतितः और प्रद्युतितः. इट शुड बी प्रकोष्ठः प्रद्युतितः. साधुः प्रमुदितः. धनं प्रकुकितं. वचनं प्रकुचितं. गीता प्रबुधिता. So all these are आदिकर्मणि प्रयोगस. In आदिकर्मणि प्रयोगस and in the भावे प्रयोगस निष्ठा प्रत्ययः सेट विकल्पेन अकित् भवति. So you can have the forms with the guna, you can have the forms without the guna. Somebody is asking why are the tritiya forms over here? I explained 1 minute ago. These are all kartrupadas. कर्मणि प्रयोगः अस्ति, भावे प्रयोगः अस्ति, अतः कर्तृपदस्य तृतीया विभक्ति भवति. दीपेण द्युतितं. नॉर्मल कर्मणि प्रयोग भावे प्रयोग is there. साधुना मुदितं, भिक्षुणा कुकितं and so on. अस्य सूत्रस्य प्रसक्तिः भावे तथा आदिकर्मणि अस्ति. This column shows भावे and this column shows आदिकर्मणि. And then you can do दलकृत्यं. उदुपदात् इति किं, भावादिकर्मणो इति किं, शब् विकरणेभ्यः इति किं, सेट् इति किं, सर्वं पठितुं शक्यते. पूर्वं मया एतत् सर्वं पाठितम् अस्ति. So everything, if you don't understand anything till now, go back to class 22. Everything has been explained over there. There is a question over here. Kena sutrena tritiya. I don't understand this question. This is a karta, right? In kartari prayoga, karta becomes, in kartari prayoga, karta becomes prathama. And in karmani and bhave prayoga, karta goes in the tritiya, right? Chhatrena pathaha pathitaha or chhatrena hasitam. These are exact prayogas over here. Kartru karmanos tritiya ityanena tritiya vibhakti bhavati. कर्तृकरणयोस्तृतीया इत्यनेन तृतीया विभक्ति भवति कर्तृपदस्य. So this deepen and dyutitam is syntactically no different than chhatrena hasitam. So that's the reason these all is the karta. So this is the sutram udupadhat bhavadi karmanoranyatarasya shab vikaranebhyah eva ishyate. This is vartika karya's addition, also accepted by bhashyakara. So we treat it as equivalent to a sutram. nishtha set nakit iti sarvam tatra anuvartate. उदुपधात् धातोः परः भावे आदिकर्मणि च वर्तमानः निष्ठा प्रत्ययः सेट् अन्यतरस्यां नकिद् भवति. द्युतितम् अनेन द्योतितम् अनेन प्रद्युतितः प्रद्योतितः मुदितम् अनेन मोदितम् अनेन प्रमुदितः प्रमोदितः. So it's just copying the examples as over here. Somebody is asking, is shap coming as anuvritti? That's a good question. No, shap is not coming as anuvritti. It is not even told by Panini. Shap vikaranebhyah eva ishyate. It is added by vartikakara over here. So atra pashyatu vyavasthita vibhasha cha yam. So what Kashika says is udupadhat bhavadi karmanoho anyatarasyaam. This is a vibhasha, but this is a vyavasthita vibhasha. As soon as you say vyavasthita vibhasha, it means that the vibhasha, the condition of the vibhasha has to be specified by somebody else. It's not up to us. So normal vibhasha, we have a choice. When it comes to vyavasthita vibhasha, the sutra makers give the choice. So what is the choice given over here? It is the shap vikaranam asti ched eva tatra vibhasha bhavati, anyat vikaranam asti ched tatra vibhasha na bhavati iti atra taihi nirnayah dattah. तद अनेन प्रकारेण वक्तुं शक्यते. नो चेत् कौमुदिकारेण किं कृतं शब्द विकरणेभ्यः एव इष्यते इति वार्तिकं तत्र स्थापितम्. So if vyavasthita vibhasha seems to be a little bit dicey thing to accept, forget about vyavasthita vibhasha, accept the vartika shab vikaranebhyah eva ishyate. अतः गुध इति दिवादिगणस्य धातुः अस्ति, तस्य विषयेन भवति. So गुध is also udupadha, but for gudha you do not get godhitam, you only get gudhitam. That is because you do not get godhitam, you get gudhitam. That is because this particular sutram is shab vikaranebhyah eva ishyate. Okay, so the last sutram over here, pungaktvacha, again explained earlier. Pung pavane iti dhvadiganasya dhatuhu इत्यस्मात् विहितयोः निष्ठा प्रत्ययोः पुंगष्ट इत्यनेन वैकल्पिकः इडागमः विधीयते. 7-51 we have seen this sutra, section number 6, this whatever the group number 6. If you go to this sutra 7-51 pungascha second set इत्यत्र किमस्ति निष्ठा प्रत्ययस्य वैकल्पिकः इडागमः भवति. Now when the idagama comes at that particular time, we have a choice, or we have to do the akit bhava. If the idagama does not come, there is no point of doing, or there is no sutra for doing akit bhava. So idagamasya upasthitau nishtha pratyayau akit bhavatah. Again, this is compulsory. Let me explain this once again. There are 4 sutras in this particular atidesha section. 3 of them are compulsory. Only one middle one is optional. So nishtha shing svidimidikshvididushaha compulsory, mrushastidikshayam compulsory akid bhava, pungaktvacha compulsory akid bhava, udupadhat bhavadi karmanoranyatarasyaam anyatarasyam akid bhava. How do I know this? Look at this sutra pungaktvacha. In the previous sutra there is anyatarasyam. In the next sutra there is va. No padhat thapantad va. If there is an option earlier and if there is an option later, and if there is no explicit option given in the current sutra, obviously it has to be nityam. Because if anyatarasyam was coming as an anuvritti, there was no reason to say va again later on. So there is a vikalpa in the immediately previous sutra, there is a vikalpa immediately in the next sutra. Obviously the anuvritti of the vikalpa is not coming, therefore pungaktvacha iti nityam eva bhavati. So what is nitya? Akit bhava is nitya. Kutra bhavati? Yatra nishtha pratyayah set asti tatra bhavati. Nishtha pratyayah set kutra bhavati? Vikalpena bhavati. So nishtha pratyaya, whether it is set or anit, that is by vikalpa, thanks to sutra 7-51. Very good. Here, pungascha. अनेन सूत्रेण निष्ठा प्रत्ययस्य इडागमस्य विकल्पः भवति. यत्र इडागमः न भवति तत्र तु अकित् भावस्य प्रसक्तिरेव नास्ति, यत्र इडागमः भवति तत्र अवश्यम् अकित् भावः विधीयते. So we have यत्र निष्ठा प्रत्यय इडागमः न भवति तत्र अकित् भावः नैव प्रसज्यते, इडागमस्य उपस्थितौ अकित् भावः भवति. So pung plus it plus ta, because idagama is there, we have akit bhava. Akit means guna, puganta laghu padasya cha, u not go, sorry, sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoho. Nga is its samnyaka, it's going to go away. It's going to only have pu plus it plus ta. Sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayoho iti gunaha. U becomes o becomes ava pavita. यत्र निष्ठा प्रत्यय इडागमः न भवति तत्र इडागमः अपि नास्ति, गुणः अपि नास्ति, अकित् भावः अपि नास्ति, किमपि नास्ति. पुङ प्लस त पूत. So pu plus ta, nothing is there. Put, the final form is created. So anyatarasyam iti naswaryate. That's what Kashika says. The previous sutram is anyatarasyam, the next sutram is va. Therefore you don't have anyatarasyam or va coming in the current sutram. Anyatarasyam iti naswaryate. Swaryate means it is not a swarita swara, therefore it is not an anuvritti. Swaritena adhikaraha. Swarita swaraha asti chedeva tatra anuvrittihi bhavitum arhati. Atra swarita swaraha nasti, atah atra anuvrittehe api chintanam na karaniyam. Anyatarasyam iti naswaryate. Uttara sutre punaha vavachanat. Na set iti vartate. So set thing is coming up at not option, not anyatarasyam. Pungascha it vihitaha klishaha tvanishtayoho pungascha iti. So he is basically giving the context of that sutra. Pungascha sutra coming, taking anuvritti of nishtha from klishak tvanishtayoho. He is explaining the context of the idagama that we saw last week. Pungaha paraha nishtha pratyaha ktvacha set nakit bhavati pavitaha pavitavan. This is the example given over here. क्त्वा प्रत्ययस्य न क्त्वा सेट् इति सिद्धः एव प्रतिषेधः तस्य ग्रहणम् उत्तरार्थम्. So पुङ क्त्वा च, the sutra says क्त्वा, chakara brings in nishtha. So you have this sutra applicable for both the cases. If you would have remembered, or if you would have re-listened class number 22, I made an explicit remark about this sutra. All the way in the beginning of PPT, there were 3 columns. Puङ क्त्वा च was repeated across column number 2 and column number 3. I made an explicit remark why punga ktvacha was repeated, saying that it is applicable for ktva, it is also applicable for nishtha. If you have not listened class 22, please go back and listen. So atra ktva api asti, nishtha api asti, tatra ktva ityasya atra prayojanam nasti, uttara sutre asya prayojanam vidyate, iti saha spashti karoti. So ktva pratyasya uttarartham agre prayojanam asti. तदेव भाष्यकारेण उक्तं क्त्वा ग्रहणम् उत्तरार्थम्. तस्मिन् विषये इदानीं चिन्ता मास्तु. निष्ठा प्रत्ययो विषये तु इदं सूत्रम् अत्र आवश्यकम्. पुङः क्त्वा निष्ठा च सेट् किन्न स्यात् पवितः पूतः क्त्वा ग्रहणम् उत्तरार्थम्. So we'll talk about this particular, this is a shastra vishaya. We'll talk about this particular क्त्वा ग्रहणम् उत्तरार्थम् later on when we come to the क्त्वा pratyaya. So for now we have these 4 sutras. निष्ठा शिंग श्विदिबिदिक श्विदिदृशः मृषस्थितिक्षायाम उदुपदात् भावादि कर्मणोरन्यतरस्याम and पुङ क्त्वा च, right over here in front of you. So in these 4 sutras, 3 of them give compulsory atidesha. The third one actually, udupadat bhavadi karmanoranyatarasam ityanena vikalpena akit atideshah bhavati. One last time I am reminding again, the nishtha pratyaya, if it is a set, only then you will get the akit atidesha. Except for this udupadat bhavadi karmanoranyatarasam, the akit atidesha is compulsory as long as the sutra are satisfied. Whether idagama is compulsory or not, that is a different discussion to be done in the step number 6, idagama step. If idagama does not happen, there is no question of akit atidesha. If idagama happens, whether it happens optionally, whether it happens compulsorily, whatever, if idagama happens, there is always the akit atidesha. Akit nishtha pratyaya is becoming akit, and therefore the guna will happen either by sarvadhatuka ardhadhatukayo or pugandalagubhadasya cha. Ityanena prakarena atra atideshasya sutranam asmabhi adhyanam krutam asti. Agre asti tritiyah vishayah samprasaranam, discussed in class number 20. So the first 2 sutras and the Peethika, which I'll quickly run through. All this was discussed in class number 20. If you do not understand anything that I'm discussing right now, go back to class number 20. So samprasarana samya igyana samprasaranam ityanena diyate. There are two things that we call samprasaranam. Ik varnasya sthane, yan varnasya sthane prayujyamanaha ik varnaha. So the resultant ik letter is called samprasarana, and the transformation process is also called samprasarana. So the final product and the process, both of them are called samprasaranam. Vidhihi tatha adeshaha ubhayoho samprasarana samnya bhavati. Samprasaranam is exactly opposite of yanadesha. Ik to yana is called yanadesha. Yana to ik is called samprasaranam. यथा संख्यम यकारस्य स्थाने इकारः, वकारस्य स्थाने उकारः, रेफस्य स्थाने ऋकारः, लकारस्य स्थाने लकारः. अणुदित सवर्णस्य चा प्रत्ययत्र अप्रत्ययः इति अस्ति. अविधीयमानः अण एव सवर्णानां ग्रहणं करोति. अत्र सर्वत्र इग्यण संप्रसारणम् इत्यत्र विधीयमानः इक् वर्णः, अतः तत्र सवर्णग्रहणं न भवति. इत्युक्ते यकारस्य स्थाने सर्वत्र ह्रस्व इकारः, वकारस्य स्थाने सर्वत्र ह्रस्व उकारः, रेफस्य स्थाने सर्वत्र ह्रस्व ऋकारः इत्येव अत्र भवति. So for the samprasaranam, it is always the hrasva swara that comes up, unless explicitly indicated in weird cases like vaha, utha and so on, where an explicit dirgha adesha has been told. So atra anudit savarnasya cha pratyaytenena hrasva swarasya adesha rupena vidhanam bhavati. The next point that we have already studied is samprasaranam on its own is useless, because as soon as samprasaranam happens, there is the immediate possibility of yanadesha. Atra pashyantu yaja iti asti. Kathanchit samprasaranam bhavati iti vadamasched ya a ja tatra yakarasya sthane samprasarane krute ikarah पुनरेकवारं ई प्लस अ इति पुनः यणादेशः एव भवेत्. सो ई प्लस अ इति भवति चेत् इको यणचित्तेनेन इकारस्य स्थाने पुनः यकारः भवितुम् अर्हति. So इको यणचि can completely reverse the effect that is given by any sutra, or that is given by the process of samprasaranam. अस्य बाधनार्थं तत्र पूर्वरूप एकादेशः क्रियते. संप्रसारणाच्च इति सूत्रं. तत्र यकारात् इकारः यदा सिद्ध्यति तदा इकार अकारयोः पूर्वरूप एकादेशे कृते पुनः इकारः, सो ईज इति रूपं सिद्ध्यति. सो संप्रसारणादनन्तरं नित्यं संप्रसारणाच्च इति पूर्वरूपं भवति. यत्र द्वयोः वर्णयोः संप्रसारणं भवितुम् अर्हति तत्र द्वितीयवर्णस्य संप्रसारणं करणीयं. that has been explained by न संप्रसारणे संप्रसारणं. So we have व्ये इति धातुः अस्ति, तत्र वकारः अस्ति, यकारः अस्ति. इदानीम् अस्य धातोः विषये संप्रसारणं भवति चेत् वकारस्य भवति उत यकारस्य भवति इति प्रश्नः. तत्र नित्यं द्वितीयवर्णस्य संप्रसारणं, नो चेत् अन्तिमवर्णस्य संप्रसारणं करणीयं. सो यकारस्य संप्रसारणम् इकारः, इकारः संप्रसारणसंज्ञकः वर्णः. अयं वर्णः अग्रे अस्ति चेत् पूर्वं विद्यमानस्य वर्णस्य संप्रसारणं न भवति. न संप्रसारणे संप्रसारणं. संप्रसारणे इत्युक्ते संप्रसारण सम्यकः वर्णः अग्रे अस्ति चेत् तस्मात् पूर्वं विद्यमानस्य वर्णस्य संप्रसारणं न भवति. So when you have two letters that can undergo samprasaranam, the second one will go undergo samprasaranam first, and then the resultant varna, which is also called samprasaranam, will come after the first letter, and because of that the samprasarane samprasaranam will block the samprasaranam of the first letter. So vakarasya atra asmin udharane samprasaranam na bhavati, kevalam yakarasya samprasaranam bhavati. So this is the basic background of samprasaranam. The two most important sutras which you should have learned by heart now, vachiswapi yajadinam kiti, vacha paribhashane swapa shaye, and so on. The yajadi gana etesham sarvesham vishaye kit pratyaya pare samprasaranam bhavati. We have kta as a kit pratyaya, so asmin pratyaya pare samprasaranam bhavati. All the examples are listed over here. You can take a look at it later on. The second sutra, grahijya vai vyadhi vashti vichati vrichati prichati bhrijati nam niti cha, niti chakarena tatra kiti api agachati. So for these dhatus, graha, ja, vyadha, vasha, vyach, and so on up to bhrasja, etesham sarvesham vishaye kit pratyeye pare api samprasaranam, nit pratyeye pare api samprasaranam. So anyway, this is not a nit pratyaya. So atra kiti iti anuvrittihi bhavati. So understand this. The first sutra is only for kit, which is swapi ajadinam kiti. The second sutra is for kit and nit. Because our pratyas are kit pratyas, we are using both the sutras for them. So atra graha, ja, vyadha, sarvani udharane yatra dattani santi. All these slides have been copy pasted, almost copy pasted with minor changes from class number 20. So revision is very important. If you don't revise, it's not possible to catch up with this kind of bullet train speed. So till this point, we have almost covered half of the class time, but till this point, yat kimapi maya idanim uktam tat sarvam purveshu vargeshu pathitam asti. Nothing, not even a single line till now was new. Idanim agre yat kimapi pathyate tat sarvam nutan rupena pathamaha. So grahijya vaivyadhi ityasmad anantaram kanichana sutrani santi tatra nishtha pratyoh vishaye samprasaranam nochyate tadanantaram agre सप्तसूत्राणि अग्रे विधीयन्ते स्थायः स्थि निष्ठायां स्त्यः प्रपूर्वस्य इत्यस्मात् प्यायः पी इति यावत्सु सूत्रेषु निष्ठा प्रत्ययोः विषये धातोः संप्रसारणम् उक्तम् अस्ति. So whatever we studied till now was all revision. The real material starts right from now. We have enough time. This is the only set of sutras that we will cover today, starting from Spaya Sthi Nishtayam up to Pyayaha P. So this is dhatu vishishtam samprasaranam, nishtha vishishtam api samprasaranam. So specific dhatus and specific pratyas, the nishtha pratyaya vishishtam samprasaranam. Tatra prathamam sutram asti sphayaha sphi nishtayam. Dhvadiganasya dhatuhu sphayi vruddhau iti dhatuhu अस्मात् धातोः निष्ठा प्रत्ययः विधीयते तदा स्फाय इत्यस्य स्फी इति आदेशः भवति. So स्फायि ityasya, that opyayi, he has only written it because that's how the dhatu patha looks like, but this particular sutra is only for spyayi. Typically what happens, I'll also explain why he writes like this. Typically what happens, the versions of the dhatu patha that we get, the traditionally available versions, tatra pratyekam dhatoho arthaha nasti. Yatra samanarthakaha dhatavaha santi. Tatra sarvesham dhatunam avalim saha prathamam likhati tadanantaram antimaha tasyam avalyam yaha dhatuhu tasya dhatoho nikate etesham sarvesham ekatra rupena arthaha likhyate. When you have multiple consecutive dhatus with the same meaning, the way traditionally occurring dhatu patha in manuscripts or the ones that are available at various other websites, the way you can see, or specifically for example in Madhaviya Dhatu Vritti and Kshira Tarangini and so on, the way you see is he will list the dhatus one after the other, and next to the last dhatu he will write the meaning which is applicable to all the previous dhatus. On our website, I have changed that form to help us searchability, navigability and so on, and I have written the meanings separately. But you can see, for example, Kurda Kridayam, Kurda Kridayam, Gurda Kridayam, Guda Kridayam. So the way he will write is Kurda, Kurda, Gurda, Guda Kridayam. He'll write 1, 2, 3, 4 and the meaning, which has been splitted over here for our understanding. So that's what he's quoting. The entry in the dhatu patha is spyayi or pyayi because both of them are vruddhau. Spyayi vruddhau and opyayi vruddhau. But this sutra has nothing to do with opyayi. It is only specific to spyayi. So spyayi or spaya, ikaraha itsamnekah asti, spaya iti tatra dhatuhu, spaya vruddhau ityasya vishaye sphi iti adeshah bhavati. So look at the prakriya over here. Spaya plus ta, you get sphi, sarvadeshah bhavati, sphi plus ta, sphita. Technically speaking, this is not a samprasaranam, because a samprasaranam, first of all, there is no word samprasaranam being used over here. However, this is very similar to samprasaranam and it is added in the section of samprasaranam. So tatra sutranam avalim pashyamaschet tatra sphayaha sphi nishtayam ityatra संप्रसारण सदृशः कश्चन आदेशः कृतः अस्ति. So yakarasya ikaradeshah somehow has been done. That is a type of samprasaranam, or some it's a mimic, it's an entity which is mimicking samprasaranam. In all the remaining sutras, tyah prapurvasya, dravamurti sparshayoshyah and so on, he will actually give samprasaranam. अतः अत्र संप्रसारणं नास्ति. तया नोट रूपेण मया लिखितमपि अस्ति. वस्तुतस्तु इदं संप्रसारण कार्यं नास्ति, परन्तु अध्ययन सौलभ्यार्थं पाणिनिना अतश्च तस्माभिः अपि तस्मिन्नेव प्रकरणे गृह्यते. So this looks like samprasaranam. You can say that this is the nipatana of samprasaranam. That is also one way to look at it. What he does is he gives a sarvadesha. Sphaya becomes sphi, looking like a samprasaranam. Somebody is pointing here, there is a dirgha ikaradesha. So this is exactly what I was talking earlier. Sometimes what happens is at the samprasaranam you need a dirgha varna. So he usually gives it directly without calling it samprasaranam. Vaha ut. That's also a type of samprasaranam where dirgha word letter has been mentioned. Sphayaha sphinisthayam. Type of samprasaranam where a dirgha letter has been mentioned. So it's perfectly okay to call this as some kind of nipatanam associated with samprasaranam. Panini has put it in the same section. He doesn't call it samprasaranam. That's it. So sphayi vruddhau ityasya nisthayam paratah sphi iti adeshah bhavati. So prakriya is nothing. Sphaya plus ta, this whole entity sarvadeshah. Sphi plus the sphita. Sphita, sphitavan. This samprasaranam is not with the kitta. So vachisvapi ajadinam or grahijavai was with the kitta. This is only nisthayam. So nisthayam iti atra sutre vartate. केवलं तत्तवतु प्रत्ययोः विषये एव अस्य सूत्रस्य प्रसक्तिः अस्ति, अन्यत्र नास्ति. अतः सः स्पष्टीकरोति निष्ठायाम् इति किं स्फाति. क्तिन् प्रत्ययस्य रूपमस्ति इदं. क्तिन् प्रत्ययः अपि कित् अस्ति, परन्तु तत्र अस्य संप्रसारणस्य प्रसक्तेः न वर्तते, नो चेत् अस्य सूत्रस्य प्रसक्तिः न वर्तते. स्फातिः अत्र केवलं स्फाय प्लस् ति स्फाति इति रूपं भवति लोपोव्योर्वलि. स्फाति भवति. द्वितीयम् उदाहरणं, च्वी प्रत्ययः तत्र स्थापितः अस्ति. So स्फाति, there's a क्तिन् प्रत्यय word plus च्वी प्रत्यय added on the top of it. तत्रापि क्तिन् एव अस्ति, निष्ठा नास्ति. अतः अत्र संप्रसारणं नो चेत् स्फि आदेशः न कृतः अस्ति. So he gives two examples. Sphati is also ktinanta. Sphati bhavati is also ktinanta. When it comes to ktin pratyaya, it do not get the sphi adesha. There is no purpose of this sutra for ktin pratyaya. Why does he explicitly choose the ktin pratyaya other than any other pratyayas? Because ktin pratyaya is a kit pratyaya. He wants to distinguish between the earlier samprasaranas that were talked about kit and this samprasaranam that is about nisthayam. So he very intelligently chooses another pratyaya which is a kit pratyaya but not a nishtha pratyaya. So sphati bhavati ityatra ubhayatra ktin pratyaya asti, nishtha pratyaya nasti, atah sphi iti adesha na bhavati. And then he says idanim asmat sutrat agre nisthayam iti adhikriyate. Nisthayam ityetad adhikriyate lingyangoscha iti prag. So till lingyangoscha, we can see that you start sphaya sphi nisthayam till lingyangoscha. Before that, till lidyangoscha, till lit lakar and yang pratyaya, that particular section starts up to pyayah p, we get this particular nishtha as an anuvritti. So lidyangoscha iti prage tasmat sutrat atra nisthayam iti vartate. Somebody is asking what happens to yakara in sphaya plus tin lopo vyorvali iti yakarasya lopaha. Vakara yakarayoho val pratyaharasya varnaha agre asti chit lopaha bhavati. Sphaya plus ti sphati iti bhavati. We'll see the tin prakriya sometimes later on. Sheet number 9, we'll spend equal number of insane classes on tin prakriya also. Kaumudi Kridanta just gives one form, sphitaha. So that's the form that he gives over here. Dvitiyam sutram. So that was the first sutram, sphayaha sphi nisthayam. Agrimam sutram asti styaha prapurvasya. Now this should be easy to understand. Styai iti dhatuhu. Styai no chet shtyai. Both the dhatus are there. Look at this. Styai. pra, ta and ya, or sa, ta and ya and I. Both these dhatus, same meaning. Actually, these are part bhedas. I mean, when you see dhatus like this, which are very similar looking, the reason why multiple such dhatus are added in the dhatu patha is because different dialects of the language were available across the Aryavarta. Panini made sure that all these dialects are to be added. So, for example, kurda khurda or bada wada, these kind of minor ardhamatra difference when you see in these particular dhatus is typically to include various different dialects of the language that were spoken across the Bharatavarsha at that particular time. So styai shabda sanghatayoho, styai shabda sanghatayoho ityatra ubhayatra ubhayoho vishaye प्रपूर्वस्य प्र उपसर्गेण सह यदा प्रयोगः भवति तदा संप्रसारणं भवति. सामान्यावस्थायां संप्रसारणं न भवति, केवल धातोः विषये संप्रसारणं न भवति, प्र उपसर्गः अस्ति चेदेव संप्रसारणं भवति. So स्त्यै or स्त्यै, even if it is स्त्यै, धात्वादेशः सः will convert sh to s, निमित्तापाये नैमित्तिकस्य अपायः will cause a t to t, so eventually you get स्त्यै. So styai, both of these eventually land upon the styai form. So styai becomes stya, adecha upadesheshiti, pra plus stya. So you get the pra upasarga, you get stya, and you get kta, which is the nishtha pratyaya. At this particular point in time, you get the samprasarana. So here samprasarana is happening. Nisthayam iti vartate, samprasaranam iti api vartate. So vartate, manduka plutya gacchati, whatever you want to see, but he just says continues ahead because the previous sutra is also kind of samprasaranam. So in stya, which is the yana letter, it is the ya present over here. What happens to ya? It becomes ikara. So stya, split it out, sta, ya and a. Ya will become e, a remains as it is. So sta, e and a, e a etayoho purva rupa ekadesha samprasarana cha. So e plus a combine to form e. Otherwise, it's all hopeless. It will combine back by and give a yanadesha, go back to stya. So thankfully, we have samprasarana cha. E plus a will become e. Prastita. Further prakriya happens. Prastita or prastima. Sometimes ta gets converted to ma. There is a sutra in Tripadi. We will see that when we go to the Tripadi step. So prastita or prastima iti atra rupam siddhyati. प्र उपसर्गः तत्र आवश्यकः, प्र उपसर्गः नास्ति चेत् तादृशं रूपं न भवति. So styai plus kta, look at this right part of the screen or middle part of the screen. Styai plus kta asti chet na bhavati. So styai will become stya, adecha upadesheshiti. Stya plus kta, styata, styana. Again, there is a Tripadi sutra which causes ta to na. So styana, no samprasaranam. There is no samprasaranam. That is why you hear the yakara. Had there been samprasaranam, yakara would have converted to ikara. So styana or some other upasarga is there. Sama plus tyai plus ta, samstyana. So styana or samstyana ubhayatra yana samprasaranam na bhavati. केवलं प्र उपसर्गः अस्ति चेद एव संप्रसारणं भवति. In the samprasaranam, it is always hraswa ikara. So see, ya is getting converted to hraswa ikara. Something else happens in the prakriya and then you get the dirgha ikara. Halaha ityanena samprasarana samnyakaha varnaha tatra dirghatvam prapnoti 642. There is a different sutram. If time permits, we'll learn it today. Otherwise, we'll learn sometimes tomorrow. So prastita or prastima, whatever dirgha ikara you hear over here, this dirgha ikara is not directly because of samprasaranam. Something else dirgha desha has happened. For now, it's only here to hraswa e, and you do not get it if there is either no upasarga or any other upasarga. Anya upasarga asti chedapi na bhavati, upasarga nasti chedapi na bhavati. So styah prapurvasya. निष्ठायाम इति वर्तते, संप्रसारणम इति च, स्फी इत्येतत् न स्वर्यते. So he's saying स्फी is not coming. स्त्यै श्ट्यै शब्द संघातयोः, again the same reference. styai and shtyai dhatus are one after the other, and then the meaning is written. So he copies that part from the dhatu patha. Styai shtyai shabda sanghatayoho dvayoho api etayoho dhatvoho styaroopam apannayoho. Both of them end up in stya. Till you get stya, there is nothing happening. This particular stya form is adesh upadeshe shiti. It happens in the vivaksha of the pratyaya. Remember, all the way back, pratyaya vivakshayam idam karyam bhavati. So only after you get stya, you are going to get the pratyaya. So stya rupamapannayoho samanyena grahanam stya ityasya prapurvasya dhatoho nishtayam paratah samprasaranam bhavati prastitaha prastitavan, and so on. In the next few lines, he explains how the makara is created. We can ignore that. I'll just read it. We'll learn it later on when we talk about the Tripadi Karyas. So there is this sutra in the Tripadi which will give this makara. So ta optionally becomes ma. Prastyaha anyatarasyam iti pakshe makaraha kriyate. Prastimaha, prastimavan, and so on. Prapurvasya iti kim? Why you need prapurvasya? Samstyanaha. So samstyana ityatra na bhavati. So that's what Kaumudi says. Prat styaha samprasaranam syat nishtayam. In the nishtha pratyas, when nishtha pratyas in front, pra plus stya gives you the samprasaranam. The stya will get samprasaranam. Now there is a question that the commentators ask over here. Let's first understand the question and then see what Kashika says. The question is that why have such a big construct called prapurvasya? We could just use Panchami and say pratstyaha. Or even more better, you can do a samasa and say prastyaha. So look at this. In 8.254, the sutra that creates a makara over there, in 8.254, prastyaha anyatarasyam. In this particular sutram, prastya is word used over here. So why not just use prastya over here? If you say prastya, is it not obvious that it is pra plus tyai? Or you can always say saha styaha prat. So like Kaumudi is saying prat styaha. You could have said that. Why do you want to say prapurvasya styaha? And the answer that the Kashika gives over here, which will be very useful a little bit later in today's class itself. The answer that Kashika gives over here is prapurvasya means that there will be pura and then some other upasarga can come and then stya can come. So prapurvasya ityasya kevalam ayam arthaha yat tatra pra iti purvam vidyate. Tatra immediately purvam asti iti arthaha nasti. Kimartham तादृशः अर्थः अपेक्षते चेत् प्रस्त्यः नो चेत् स्त्यः प्रात् इति पंचमी अपि भवितुमर्हति, समासः अपि भवितुमर्हति, परन्तु पाणिनिना तादृशं न कृतं. स्त्यः प्रपूर्वस्य इति पूर्वशब्दः तत्र योजितः. तत्र व्यवहितं पूर्वम् अपि तत्र अनुमन्यते इति अर्थः. केन व्यवहितं? भिन्नेन उपसर्गेण व्यवहितं. So you can have pra, you can have some other upasarga, and you can have the styai dhatu. Still the current sutra will be applicable. So pra tatha styai ityetayoho madhye anyaha upasargaha asti chet idam sutram pravartate. Pra plus sama plus styai plus kta prasamstita. So that's what he's saying earlier. Agree? Prastyaha ityeva siddhe. The best way of writing this sutram was prastya. Prastyaha ityeva siddhe purva grahanam ihapi yatha syat prasamstitaha prasamstitavan ityatra sarvatra sama upasargasya upasthitau api samprasaranam bhavet. Yanavarnasya ikvarnadeshah samprasaranam bhavet. Ataha atra purvasya iti atra uktam asti. And then he discusses that particular aspect further, which we don't need to go in the details. So styaha prapurvasya ityanena pra tatha anyaha upasarga. So essentially when you use purva, what he is saying is you are only marking the leftmost boundary. There is nothing before purva, but after purva you can have something. Sorry, there is nothing before pra. So pra purvasya ittenena tatra leftmost boundary pra iti asti iti uktam asti. Pra ityasmat purvam kimapi na vidyate. Pra ityasmat anantaram anyah upasargah bhavitum arhati. Tadanantaram sthai iti bhavitum arhati. No chet pra ityasmat anantaram directly sthai iti api bhavitum arhati. So pra plus sthai it is also acceptable. Pra plus sama plus sthai it is also acceptable. So this is the particular discussion on styaha prapurvasya. Agre gachama, there are a few questions. Please give me 1 minute. I'll go through them. I only want to discuss the ones that are directly relevant, but let me just go through them. Okay, there are a few questions, but I think we are going to answer them in tomorrow's class. Somebody is asking some ikara desha katham bhavati. We'll answer all these questions in the Angakarya step. Let's not talk about it right now. Agre gachama, sorry, there's some homework over there. Agre gachamaha, agrimam sutram Dravamurti sparshayoho shyah. 3 sutras in the sequence. Dravamurti sparshayoho shyah prateshcha and vibhashabhyavapurvasya. So these 3 sutras talk about a single dhatu, shyai. So shyai gatau iti dhatu asti. The next 3 sutras talk about the same dhatu, Dravamurti sparshayoho shyah. It's about the shyai dhatu. You can see the example. Prateshcha is about the shyai dhatu. Vibhasha abhyavapurvasya is about the shyai dhatu. So gachamaha agre. Shayin gatau iti bhadiganasya anit dhatuhu. So this dhatu is anit. There is no idagama over here. Shayin gatau iti bhadiganasya anit dhatuhu. Asya dhatoho prayogaha yada dravakathinyam tatha sparshaha एतयोः अर्थयोः भवति तदा निष्ठा प्रत्ययोः परयोः अस्य धातोः samprasaranam bhavati. So shayin gatau is a dhatu. Now gatau does not necessarily always mean to walk, to run, to fly, to swim, to crawl and so on. Any kind of motion, I think one of the last classes we saw that even doing a vandanam, doing a pranama is also a kind of motion. We call it a gatyarthaka dhatu. So any kind of motion is a gatyarthaka, can be used in the gatyarthaka sense. So the typical motion that is used over here is the fluctuation in the temperature. The temperature going down or the temperature moving up and the change in the temperature causing something, that kind of motion is being discussed over here. So let's understand this. Dravakathinyam. This particular word refers to solidification of a material because of the reduction in the temperature. So ghee, for example, or say oil, for example, the coconut oil, a typical example, it is usually liquid at the normal room temperature, say 25-30 degrees. But as soon as the temperature drops to 15 degrees, 10 degrees, it gets solidified. So this particular motion, this particular transformation is being indicated by dravakathinyam, a liquid which is becoming hard, which is becoming solid because of, say, the heat is being taken out or because of the fluctuation in the temperature. That's the kind of movement, gati, that this shai dhatu can be used. Similarly, in the cold, for example, the breeze comes up or say the air flows, which is the cold air. So that kind of motion of the air caused because of the reduction in the temperature, that is also which causes some kind of sparsha to our body. So we feel cold, for example, that motion caused by the air or is also being referenced over here. So multiple different versions or varieties or different aspects of the meaning, all of them are being captured as gatau in the dhatu patha. So this is actually a very beautiful exercise to look at all those 100 plus dhatus, gatau, 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 and actually understand from the prayogas what kind of gati these dhatus actually talk about. Not all of them are running or walking, as you can see over here. Some of them are also about very specific cases like dravakathinyam or sparsha and so on. So for the shaying dhatu, if the verb is used in the dravakathinyam sense, or if it is used shayate iti rupam bhavati, so ghrutam shayate iti bhavati. So dravakathinyam iti ityasmin arthe bhavati, नो चेत् स्पर्शः इत्यस्मिन् अर्थे भवति। एतयोः अर्थयोः निष्ठा प्रत्ययोः परयोः अस्य संप्रसारणं भवति। उदाहरणं पश्यामश्चेत् स्पष्टं स्यात्। सो शै इति अस्ति, शै बिकम्स श्या आदेश उपदेशेषिति, शा प्लस त यकारस्य संप्रसारणम् इकारः, इ प्लस आ पूर्वरूप एकादेशः ह्रस्व इकारः, शित, so sh plus e plus the shita, and then some other prakriya happens, sheena, no chet sheeta iti rupam siddhati. So sheenam ghrutam, the ghee that has been solidified because of the lower temperature is called sheenam ghrutam. Sheena तथा शीत उभयोः अर्थयोः प्रयोगः भवति। द्रवकाठिन्यम इत्यस्मिन् अर्थे शीनम, स्पर्श इत्यस्मिन् अर्थे शीतम. So this distinction is there in the Tripadi. We will see it at that particular point in time. अत्र किं ज्ञातव्यं? संप्रसारणं भवति, यकारस्य इकारादेशः भवति, शित इति भवति इत्येव अत्र अलम्. So अग्रे शीन नो चेत् शीत इति त्रिपाद्याम् अग्रे परिवर्तनम् अस्ति. Dirghadesha happens in the Angakarya stage and ta to na happens in the Tripadi. So sheenam ghrutam, or for the sparsha meaning you have sheetaha vayuhu, cold breeze or cold air, very useful word or very commonly seen word. Sheetaha vayuhu, atrapi shay dhatu asti, samprasaranam bhavati. अत्र शीनम घृतम इत्यत्रापि शै धातुः अस्ति, संप्रसारणं भवति. सो शीनम घृतम शीतः वायुः उभयत्र संप्रसारणे कृते रूपं सिद्ध्यति. The shaying dhatu can be used on any other moment also. So for example, it's a very unique moments. I mean, not any random gati is called shaying. That is actually a risk. If you look at the website or any other dictionary and just see shaying gato and start using that in your own sentences, it will cause havoc. You will not be able to understand. I mean, Ramaha gacchati इत्यस्य स्थाने शै धातोः प्रयोगः न भवति. तादृशाः प्रयोगाः भाषायां साहित्ये न दृश्यन्ते. कीदृशाः प्रयोगाः दृश्यन्ते? शै धातोः द्रवकाठिन्यं नो चेत् स्पर्शः इत्यस्मिन् अर्थे प्रयोगः दृश्यते. नो चेत् शै धातोः contraction, or say to round up, or say to shrink, or say to reduce in size इत्यस्मिन् अर्थे अपि प्रयोगः दृश्यते. So same, when for example liquid ghee becomes solidified, in one sense it shrinks down, the volume probably reduces. So that's shrinking, or that's becoming a rounding, or becoming a round object. Asmin arthe api asya dhato prayoga bhavati. So shyanaha vrishchikaha, a scorpion, because of cold or because of say something else, it has become round, it has contracted its body, it has rounded up its body, and it's now changed the shape. So atra shyanah vrishtikah etadrishah prayogah api bhavati. Atra dravakaఠिन्यं nasti, it's not being solidified, it was not liquid earlier and not becoming solid. Sparshah iti api nasti, so it's not happening because of breeze or whatever, or it's not the breeze itself. So shyanah ityatra samprasaranam na bhavati. अन्ये प्रयोगाः एतादृशाः सन्ति. सो श्यानः वृश्चिकः इत्यत्र शयिङ् गतौ इति धातुः संप्रसारणं न भवति, श्यान इति रूपं तत्र सिद्ध्यति. सो द्रवमूर्तौ द्रवकाठिन्ये स्पर्शे वर्तमानस्य शयिङ् गतौ इत्यस्य धातोः निष्ठायां परतः संप्रसारणं भवति. शीनं घृतं, शीना वसा, वसा और मेद, शीनं मेदः fat iti artha, the body fat, the animal fat lard. So sheena vasa, sheenah medah, sheenam medah napumsakalinge asti. Dravavasthayam kaఠिन्यं gatam, from the liquid it has become solid. Dravavasthayam kaఠिन्यं gatam iti artha. and then he says shaha asparshe iti nishthanatvam. So that was all about the dravakathinyam. The second meaning is sparsha. So sparshe shitam vartate, shitaha vayuhu, shitam udakam. So cold air or cold water. How do you know it's cold? You get a sparsha, you touch it and you understand. So it's sparshe. So shitaha vayuhu, shitam udakam, and so on. Gunamatre tadvati cha asya shita shabdasya vritti drashtavya. So this is a guna which is being attached to the vayu or udakam. That's how this particular word has to be derived. Dravamurti sparshayoho iti kim shanaha nochet samshanaha vrishchikaha ityatra na bhavati. So shanaha vrishchikaha ityatra na bhavati. Somebody is asking, the change in the volume is also considered a moment in this example. Yes, change in the volume is a classic example where this particular gatau is used in this particular case. So not all gataus in the dhatu patha are equal. It is indeed a very good exercise to actually go through these all gatau and see what gatau they are translated into some sensible or useful Hindi or English translation, and then make it available to everybody. It's a very useful exercise if anybody of you is interested. Agre gacchamaha. We have like 4 more sutras. It's okay, we'll see how many of we can take, otherwise we'll stop. The next sutram is prateshcha. The sutra should be very clear meaning should be very clear. Prati iti upasargaha asti chedapi etat samprasaranam bhavati. So prati upasargaha asti chet tatra samprasaranam bhavati. The reason why a separate sutra is done, because this has nothing to do with dravakathinyam or sparsha. पूर्वं सूत्रं तु तत्र द्रवकाठिन्यं तथा स्पर्शः इत्येतयोः विषये आसीत्. इदानीं प्रति उपसर्गः अस्ति चेत् सर्वत्र सम्प्रसारणं भवति, तत्र अर्थस्य चिन्तनं न करणीयं. सो प्रति प्लस शयिंग इत्यत्र सम्प्रसारणं भवति. So earlier we said श्यानः वृश्चिकः. Here we say pratishenaha vrishchikaha. Somebody is asking, what is vrishchika? Scorpion. Scorpion is in Sanskrit we call it vrishchika. So one of the 12 zodiac signs, Rashi, is also called vrishchika. If you look in the sky, it exactly looks like scorpion. So not all Rashis look like their animals, but vrishchika is an exception. It exactly looks like scorpion if you see it in the sky. So pratishinaha vrishchikaha, scorpion iti atra arthaha. What is the essence over here? Prati upasargaha asti chet शयिंग धातोः विषये नित्यं सम्प्रसारणं भवति. तत्र द्रवकाठिन्यं तत्र स्पर्शः इति कश्चन अर्थः नावश्यकः. सो शः इति वर्तते. प्रतेः उत्तरस्य शायतेः निष्ठायां परतः सम्प्रसारणं भवति. प्रतिशीनः प्रतिशीनवान्, and he makes it clear. Drava murti sparshabhya. Murti is kaठिन्यम. Murti is basically solidifying. So drava kaठिन्यम तथा च स्पर्श एताभ्याम अन्यत्र यथा स्यात् इति अत्र सूत्रारम्भः क्रियते. This sutra has been given for other cases than murti and drava murti and sparsha. प्रतिपूर्वस्य शः सम्प्रसारणं स्यात् निष्ठायां प्रतिशीनः. अग्रिमं सूत्रम, again for the same dhatu, vibhasha abhi avapurvasya. Again, it's very easy to understand. Earlier sutra, prati plus shai was compulsory. Now abhi plus shai and ava plus shai is vibhasha. Vibhasha abhi avapurvasya. So abhi or ava shaying asti che tatra vikalpena samprasaranam bhavati. Now this is ubhaya vibhasha. Why it is ubhaya vibhasha? Because for the dravakathinyam and for the sparsha, compulsory samprasaranam was given. It is made optional. For all other cases, no samprasaranam was given. It is being introduced optionally. So dravakathinyam sparshaha ityatra पूर्वेण नित्यं प्राप्तं संप्रसारणं विकल्प्यते. अभिशीनं घृतं, अभिश्यानं घृतं. Abhi means from all sides. So from all sides this has been solidified. If it was only shay dhatu, we would say shinam घृतं, compulsory samprasaranam. परंतु अत्र अभि इति अस्ति, अतः अत्र संप्रसारणं विकल्पेन भवति. अभिशीनं अभिश्यानं वा घृतं. And in other cases, like say vrishchikaha, there you do not, by earlier sutras, you do not get the samprasaranam, but again, that has been introduced optionally. So purvena apraptaha vidhi atra vidhiyate, that is aprapta vibhasha. Anyatra purvena apraptam samprasaranam bhavati, avashinaha vrishchikaha, avashyanaha vrishchikaha, contracted or rounded or constricted from all the sides. So that's basically avashyanaha or avashinaha vrishchikaha. I'll quickly go through Kaumudi for now. Shaha samprasaranam vikalpena syat, abhishyanam ghrutam, abhishinam ghrutam, avashyanaha, avashinaha vavrishchikaha, vyavasthita vibhasha iyam, tena ihana samavashyanaha. This last part I'll just explain and we'll go ahead. So, abhishinam, avashyanam, abhishinam and abhishyanam are possible. Avashinam and avashyanam are also possible. Now somebody asks a question, what happens if we have another upasarga over there? So we have sama plus we have abhi plus we have shai. So we have abhi and ava, but we have another upasarga before that. Why such a question comes up? Because prayogas are seen like that. Otherwise such a question was hypothetical, there was no point. But etadrishaha prayogaha drishyante. Tatra anyaha upasargaha asti, तदनन्तरम अभि नो चेत् अव तदनन्तरम शैंग अनेन प्रकारेण अस्ति चेत् किं भवति तर्हि तत्र प्रयोगे संप्रसारणं न दृश्यते. The prayogas that we see are samavashyana. Look at this. If it is only ava, we see both ways. Avashyana, that is without the samprasaranam, avashina, that is with the samprasaranam. Both the type of forms are seen. However, when we have sama plus ava plus shai, you only get the form without the samprasaranam. Avashyana. So samavashyana ityeva rupam drishyate. अवशीन एतादृशं समवशीन इति रूपं न दृश्यते. तर्हि तस्य समर्थनं कथं करणीयं? तस्य उत्तरं कौमुदीकारेण दीयते, व्यवस्थित विभाषा अस्ति इति पठामः. So let us assume that this is a vyavasthita vibhasha. As soon as we say vyavasthita, the option is given to us. We are not free to do that option. So what is the option given to us? केवलम अभि तथा केवलम अव अस्ति चेत् तत्र प्रत्यक्षः विकल्पः अस्ति. So if it is only abhi or only ava, then you have a real choice. Parantu tatra anyaha upasarga asti chet tatra samprasaranam naiva bhavati iti atra vyavasthita vibhasha asti. So kashikam pashyamaha shyaha iti vartate abhi ava ityevam purvasya shayatehe nisthayam vibhasha samprasaranam bhavati abhishinam abhishyanam avashinam avashyanam dravyamurti sparsha vivakshayam api vikalpaha. So I explained that abhishinam ghrutam abhishyanam ghrutam and so on. Abhishitaha vayuhu, abhishyanaha vayuhu, and so on. Sa yam ubhayatra vibhasha drashtavya. So that's the ubhaya vibhasha. So very rare example of a sutram which is ubhaya vibhasha as well as vyavasthita vibhasha. So why it is ubhaya vibhasha? Because it is a prapta, it is in some cases prapta vibhasha and some other cases it is aprapta vibhasha. द्वयोः अपि प्रकारयोः विभाषा अस्ति, अतः उभय विभाषा इति उच्यते. In addition to that, when another upasarga comes, it immediately turns into vyavasthita vibhasha. So that's also Kashika says vyavasthita vibhasha or vyavastha iyam, vyavasthita vibhasha iyam sama avashai ityatra na bhavati samavashyanaha iti samprasaranam vina eva rupam siddhati. Now in Kashika, this middle three lines, I don't want to spend time on this right now. We are running out of time. What he is doing over here is he is putting a different paksha and he's shooting that paksha down, or he is disagreeing to that paksha. So the question was sama plus abhi plus shai ityatra samprasaranam katham na bhavati. Why the form is samavashyanaha only? One argument is vyavasthita vibhasha, which is given in Kaumudi, which is also given and accepted in Kashika. Kashika puts up another argument, but he rejects that argument. So that particular discussion is there in these three middle lines, that he has put a different argument and rejected that argument. Let's not go in the details in the interest of time. You can, if anybody wants to know more, you can write to me and I'll explain later on. But the general argument over here is that this is vyavasthita vibhasha. Therefore, sama plus abhi or sama plus ava plus shain ityatra na bhavati. Agre gachamah, last two sutras. I will want to complete it. I want to complete it and then finish this class. So shruta, actually simple sutras. Shrutam pake and pyayaha pi. So saralam sutram shrutam pake iti asti. Shrai iti dhatuhu nochet shra iti dhatuhu. There are these two dhatus. Both of them, because of adesha upadeshe shiti, shrai will become shra. So both of them eventually look like shra at the beginning of the prakriya. So shrai pake iti dhatuhu, shra pake iti dhatuhu. So shrai or shra, both of these are akarmaka dhatus. Understand this. This is very important. Typically, when you say cooking, pake, or say do pachash pake, sakarmaka asti, ramaha odanam pachati. So whenever we say cooking, it is typically a sakarmaka dhatu. There is a karta, the person who cooks, and there is a karma, the entity that gets cooked. Parantu atra shrai dhatuhu and shra dhatuhu dvavapi dhatu akarmaka ustaha, which means an entity itself gets cooked on its own. So when you say ghrutam and then use the shrai dhatu as, or kshiram for example, shrutam kshiram, this is the form that we are deriving. It essentially means that the milk has boiled on its own. Like there is so much heat or whatever, with little heat, the milk has boiled on its own. So for this particular dhatu, shrai dhatu, which comes in the meaning of cooking, kta pratyay pare vikalpena shru iti adeshah bhavati. Rich asti ched api shru bhavati, rich nasti ched api shru bhavati. So what is this sutra saying? Shrai dhatu or shra dhatu with nich or without nich, that entire entity which is called anga of the kta pratyaya, that whole thing or prakriti, not yet anga, but prakriti becomes shru. So anayoho dhatuoho kta pratyay pare shru iti adeshah bhavati. So shra sarvadeshu rupena tatra tasya sthane shru iti bhavati. So there is no prakriya shra plus kta or shra plus nicha plus kta. It itself will, so let's take one by one. Shra plus kta, which will become shru plus kta. Shra plus nicha plus kta, which again will become shru plus kta. Whether it is shra or whether it is shra plus nicha, both of them will become shru. Sh plus ru, shru. So anayoho dhatuvoho kta pratyay pare shru iti adeshah bhavati. Again, this is vyavasthita vibhasha. Kshiram iti arthah asti, नो चेत् हविः इति अर्थः अस्ति, तर्हि एव अनेन सूत्रेण उक्तः आदेशः भवति. We have seen this similar things in one of the earlier sutras also. Vibhasha grahah इत्यत्र ग्रह धातोः विषयेण प्रत्ययः कुत्र भवति? जलचरः अस्ति चेत् नित्यं भवति, परन्तु प्लानेटरी ऑब्जेक्ट अस्ति चेत् न भवति इति तत्र तस्मिन् सूत्रे अस्माभिः दृष्टं. That was also व्यवस्थित विभाषा. Here also it is व्यवस्थित विभाषा. Kshiram iti asti chet shru iti adesha compulsory bhavati. So even if we say vibhasha, it is not left to you. It is a vyavasthita vibhasha. Kshiram iti asti chet nityam bhavati. Havihi, offering of a yajna, asti chedapi nityam bhavati. Anyat kimapi asti chet na bhavati. So shrutam kshiram swayameva. There is no karma over there. Devadatta is not cooking the milk, or Devadatta is not boiling the milk. Shrutam kshiram श्रुतम हविः इत्यत्र सर्वत्र श्रा इत्यस्य श्रु आदेशः भवति. Somebody is asking, should we worry about the niche over here? No, you don't have to worry about the niche. Shra plus nicha, this whole entity will become shru. That's what the commentaries will say. Vibhasha iti anuvartate shra pakye ityetasya dhatoho ण्यन्tasya अण्यन्tasya. Whether it is ण्यन्त or whether it is अण्यन्त. Somebody is asking, how can we have a nich pratyaya? It is the prayojaka nicha. This is not swarthe nicha like the churadi gana. This is prayojaka nicha. We can have prayojaka nicha for all dhatus. So hetu maticha iti sutrena nich pratyaya bhavati. whether it is anyanta, so whether you add a prayojakani cha or we don't add a prayojakani cha, sarvatra shru bhavaha vibhasha nipatyate. Even if you say vibhasha, it is still vyavasthita vibhasha. Kshira havishoho nityam bhavati anyatra na bhavati. So essentially there is no option left to you. Kshiram iti asti chet nityam bhavati, havihi iti asti chet nityam bhavati, anyatra ayam adesha na bhavati. So shrutam pake, this is actually a nipatanam given directly to you. The dhatu is shra or the dhatu is shrai. Asyakta pratyayanta rupam shrutam iti पाणिनिना स्वयं दत्तमस्ति, अतः एव निपात्यते इति अत्र उच्यते. So again, this is technically not samprasaranam, but somewhere r or repha is becoming a rukara, so it has been clubbed under the section of samprasaranam. Here, just like sphayaha sthi nishtayam, atra api spashta rupena nipatanam nochit adesha datta, not even adesha, the final form is directly given to you. So shrai and shra are the dhatus, shruta is the final form. Even if it is shrai plus nicha plus ta, eventually it's becoming shruta. Single step, nipatanenaiva sarvam bhavati. Shru plus ta shruta. So shrira havishoho nityam shru bhavaha anyatra na bhavati. Iti atra arthaha. कौमुदीं पश्यामः. श्राति श्रपत्योः श्राति श्रपयति. So श्रपयति is a nijanta form. He takes both of them. श्राति श्रपयति. एतयोः क्ते श्रुभावः निपात्यते. क्षीरहविषोः पाके श्रुतं क्षीरं स्वयमेव विक्लिन्नम. As I mentioned, there is no karma over here. Boils itself or with minimum help from others. So स्वयमेव विक्लिन्नम or pakvam va ityarthah. Basically heat or anything is a karana, it's not a karta. This milk itself is a karta. Swayameva viklinnam iti arthaha. Kshira havibhyam anyat tu na bhavati. Ataha normal prakriya bhavati. Shra plus ta will give shranam, or shra plus nicha plus ta will give shrapitam, and so on. The normal prakriya atra bhavati. One last sutra and then we will stop, and one small comment I have and then we will stop. The last sutram is opyayi. So pyayaha pi. Sorry. The last sutram over here is pyayaha pi. The pyayi dhatu, opyayi dhatu, tasya nishtha pratyayoho vikalpena pi iti adeshah bhavati. So pyayaha pi. Just like the way shra becomes shruta, pyaya ityasya pi adeshah bhavati. Or to give a better analogy, sphayaha sthi nishtayam. Just like the way sphaya becomes phi, pyaya becomes pi. So again, vibhasha ityeva opyaye vruddhau, to become fat, to grow, to gain weight, ityasya nishtha pratyo vikalpena pi adesha bhavati. Atra api samprasaranam na dattamasti, परंतु यकारस्य इकारादेशः तादृशमेव कार्यम्. अतः पाणिनिना एतत् सर्वं संप्रसारण प्रकरणे एव स्थापितम् एतानि सूत्राणि. सो प्यायः पि विभाषा इत्येव ओप्याये वृद्धौ इत्यस्य निष्ठायां पि इति आदेशः भवति. पीनम मुखम. So just like the spha becomes phita, peenam mukham. The nishtha, the tripadhikarya will convert a ta to na. So peenam mukham iti bhavati. Iyamapi vyavasthita vibhasha. So all these are actually nipatanas given for justifying existing prayogas. So he says this is also a vyavasthita vibhasha only in some cases. Which cases? Upasarga rahita vishayaha ye santi. So upasargam nasti chedeva asya sutrasya prayogaha bhavati. Pyayaha pi ityasya sutrasya prayogaha upasargasya anupasthitau eva bhavati. That is the vyavasthita vibhasha. Upasargasya anupasargasya nityam bhavati, sopasargasya na bhavati. So pya becomes pi, pinam mukham, swollen mouth or face. But if there is an upasarga, then there is no samprasaranam. Apyanah chandramaha, the swollen or the expanded moon, full moon for example. Pya plus ta, आ उपसर्ग अस्ति, अतः अत्र निष्ठा प्रत्यये परे संप्रसारणं न भवति. आप्यान्न चंद्रमा इति अत्र रूपं सिद्ध्यति. सो आप्यानः चन्द्रमाः, अनुपसर्गस्य नित्यं भवति पीनं मुखं, सोपसर्गस्य न भवति आप्यानः चन्द्रमाः. And then there is one vartika. I'll probably need 5 more minutes, but let's finish this and last slide. We'll finish this and then conclude. So अत्र एकं वार्तिकं वार्तिकारेण दत्तमस्ति. आङ्पूर्वस्य अन्येषां विषये तु न भवति, परन्तु अन्धु इति शब्दः अस्ति, तथा ऊधस् इति शब्दः अस्ति. एतयोः अर्थयोः अत्र सम्प्रसारणं भवति. So normal cases it will be apyana, but if you want to describe andhuhu, which is a well swollen with water, a well that is filled with water, if you want to describe that, or udhas, the milk glands or the mammary glands of a cow which are full with milk, kshirakshayah. So when a calf is born, usually there is a lot of outflow of the milk that happens from the cow. So that kind of mammary glands or milk glands of the cow which are full with milk, or andhu, which is a coop full with water, a well which is full with water. Why I'm saying full every time? This vruddhi is the meaning that is intended over here. So angpya asya dhatoho andhuhu ityukte koopaha tatha cha udhas kshirashayah, the milk glands which are overflowing with the milk. Etayoho arthayoho samprasaranam krutam drishyate. So normally you would say apyanaha chandramaha, but if you want to talk about andhu, it will be apinaha andhuhu. If you want to talk about udhas sakaranta napumsakalinga, udhas shabdaha apinam udhaha, a swollen milk gland, or a swollen is full with water, koopa, well. So anpurvasya andhu udhasoho syadeva apinaha andhuhu apinam udhaha. So that is the last sutram in this entire section. Pyayaha pi. This shrutam pake and pyayaha pi, both of them are nipatanas. Even the sphias p is also a nipatana. Rest all are samprasaranas, proper samprasaranas given over here. So I think we will stop here. There is an exercise. This last slide is actually slide on the angakarya, which I discussed in the tomorrow's class. So let's take a quick look, 1 minute look at the exercise, and then we will stop. किमपि नास्ति अत्र. अधोदत्तानि निष्ठान्तरूपाणि ससूत्रं साधयत. So 10 prakriyas are, 10 forms are given to you. Write the prakriya. And second question, very rarely I have given this question, but I wanted to give it at least once. Nishtha prakriyayam samprasaranam iti vishayam adhikrutya ekam laghu nibandham likhata. So typically your MA or whatever BA papers will have these kind of questions where you have to write and write and write. So nishtha prakriyayam samprasaranam iti vishayam adhikrutya ekam laghu nibandham likhata. Write a small essay on the topic of nishtha prakriyayam samprasaranam. Explain what samprasaranam is, explain what purva rupa is, explain how nishtha prakriya will involve samprasaranam. Half a page or 1 page, not more than that. Many of you are actually writing your own notes on this particular sessions, in this particular like nishtha session. People keep on sending their notes to me. So anyway you're writing notes, you can write these notes also in complete Sanskrit, not mix of Sanskrit and English, complete Sanskrit language. निष्ठा प्रक्रियायां संप्रसारणम् इति विषयम् अधिकृत्य एकं लघु निबन्धं, maximum 1 page लघु निबन्धम् अत्र लिखत इति अत्र गृहकार्यम्. Sorry, we have already shot like 4-5 more minutes. So there are some questions, but I'll take them at some other point in time, or you can email me and I'll reply them. समापयामः. श्वः अस्मिन्नेव समये पुनः कक्षा भविष्यति. श्वस्तनवर्गे फोर्थ सेक्शन सामान्यम अंगकार्यम इत्यस्य विषये सूत्राणाम् अध्ययनं कुर्मः. अष्टाध्यायी जगन्माता यस्य चित्तात् समुत्थिता वेदानामुपकाराय तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. शब्द ब्रह्म समाराध्य कृतवान्यो विलक्षणं सर्वाश्चर्यमिदं शास्त्रं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. येन धौता गिरः पुंसां विमलैः शब्दवारिभिः तमश्चाज्ञानजं भिन्नं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः. धन्यवादः.